Hello, it is on March 2nd, 2022, that I'm giving a little introduction of myself. My name is Cove. I am a transgender college student using he, they pronouns. My usernames you may hear me by are Revolutionary or Mach. I'm trying to go by Mach in most username settings, but some of them I can't change because they're old. So it really varies depending on where you see the username. And this is my book review channel. I used to do video games and reaction videos and stuff, but I'm not doing those anymore, so if you were here in that era of this channel, it's not happening anymore. I'm only doing book reviews because I'm obsessed with books, and that's how it goes. This is not a serious book review channel in any case, in any way, because I am not a literary analyst. I'm not even that well read in any of the genres I read. I'm kind of new. I've been doing this for several years, but at the same time, I'm not wise or anything of that sort. In fact, I don't even have that many, useful opinions to provide. Unlike other people, I get very caught up on the actual world building and the characters and the story, and a little bit less on how well it was written or things like that. So, again, I am not a literary analyst. I'm not that well read in the end. I'm getting there, but I'm really not. And sometimes I maybe focus on the elements that people don't want to hear about. And that's fine. I used to watch hours and hours of different book review channels and just was fascinated to see how different people's opinions varied between books. Maybe it was against my opinion. Maybe they hated a book I loved. But that's fine. That's how opinions work. And, after watching some more of those, I just wanted to start giving out my opinion. And that's what this channel is. It's just my opinion. Again, I may focus on different aspects than you do. Maybe I like things that you didn't like, but maybe I liked things that you haven't tried. Maybe you want to try it. Who knows? So that is really the main purpose of this channel, is to share my perspective. It is not your perspective. It's my own. But one of the things I think is interesting about my perspective is that they've changed. And that leads into the second purpose of this channel, which is more so for me, but I think will make sense and highlights how this channel will move on in the future. So, years and years ago, 4 years ago, that's a very long time ago, I read the Dresden Files, and I adored the Dresden Files when I first picked them up. I was maybe a little bit obsessed, maybe a lot of a bit obsessed. That obsession lasted for years, and it was a thing. The Dresden Files are a good series. I will flat out say they're a good series. But, caveat, I don't like them as much anymore. It's kind of weird. I used to binge reread them over and over and over again, but now the more I do that, or the more I actually do it a little bit less, the more I'm starting to not like them. And I don't know if it's exactly because I'm rereading them a lot, or if it's because I am growing up as a person. My opinion changes with time because I'm, again, growing up. You're a different person each day, in my opinion. And I think it's fascinating that the series that I used to be absolutely obsessed over, I'm getting more and more critical of with time. And so I wanted to look into that in this channel. I wanted to maybe do a kind of anniversary idea where I look back on a series I read and say how my opinion has changed, or if my opinion still remains the same. So in the case of the Dresden Files, my opinion has changed a bit, and I think part of it is because his quality of writing definitely increased with time, and now I'm more able to recognize that. But that's just for Dresden Files. For other series, I see different things happening. There's some series that I actually like them more afterward, or like them less afterward, or maybe my opinion doesn't change, I still like them the same. So I think in the future I want to do like an anniversary of finishing the series kind of thing. And the first one of those would be Mistborn, Era 1, which will be happening in just a few months, I believe, will be the anniversary. So we'll get to planning later. I plan to return to Mistborn exactly, I think it's been 6 months now, so another 6 months. I think I finished it in like July, and I think I posted it early. I will look later, but a few months from now, I will return to Mistborn and say how my opinion has changed. One of the good things about doing this, in my opinion, is that all of my reviews are individual books, which doesn't tell you much about how my opinion of that individual book changed with the reveals in the next book. Some of the series I have a bunch of elements that aren't explained until the next book, and sometimes I will harp on those elements because I don't know that. Oops. And so I think by doing this, I'll be able to acknowledge that that specific thing that I used to harp about did change, or maybe I'm still upset about it even after it was explained. So that is the general plan, and that is the other reason I like doing these book reviews, is so I can lock my opinion in time, and I can return to them. Whoa, my voice. My apologies, sorry. I can lock my opinion in time, and I can return to them and see how my opinion has changed, or if it's the same, or stuff like that. I will know what I thought immediately after I read the book, and I will know what I thought maybe a whole year after I read the book, and see, does it still hold up? Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. Maybe that doesn't really matter to you, and that is fine. I just think it's interesting to see how the perspectives change. So there is that. Again, not a serious channel, my opinions, and how they change with time. Alright, with that, I will talk about the formatting of my videos. So, whenever I record a video, it is typically kind of monthly. It's whenever I finish a book. Sometimes I'll finish about 3 books in a month. Sometimes I'll finish 1 book in a month. Generally, it's monthly. Some exceptions. Generally monthly. So, when I finish a book, I will basically record the video directly afterward. There's sometimes it'll be a day or 2 later. I think there was only once it was 4 days later, and that was because I was on vacation. But for the most part, I will record a video directly after I read it. Sometimes I'll even be reading the last few pages on camera, because why not? I can do it with physical books. And that's generally when I update. The format of the videos themselves, I will generally do like a few second to a minute introduction. It's usually me rambling about how long it took me to read the book. It really varies on the book, but sometimes I'll be like, it is 3 o'clock in the morning, and this book had me hooked until 3 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes it's something like that. That also happens. Take note, I record early in the morning sometimes. Oops. And sometimes I'm being quiet because I do have a roommate. So I'll get into those later with my apologies. But generally, the first minute is me talking about those kinds of things, and then I'll jump directly into non-spoilers or general comments about the book. Maybe I'll give you a rating, but usually I don't rate books because I think it's very hard to rate books, especially when you're comparing them to other books. Sometimes they just don't compare. So sometimes that will happen, but generally I'll just talk about the book in general, some non-spoilers, things I loved, and those kinds of things, and then directly after, I'll jump into spoilers. Usually there's a minute of me going like, to give you guys time to go away so you don't hear the spoilers, and then I'll just jump right on in. After the spoilers are done, I will talk about what I'm reading next, and any new books I bought. At the end of this video, I will do a quick update about the books I bought, but I'll also talk about the same books when I finish reading this, which hopefully is soon. I took a little bit of a break, and that happens. That is why I update relatively monthly. For the most part, that is the format of my videos, and typically that's how it goes. Sometimes there's a few exceptions in that format. So, two good examples of exceptions are my review on White Noise and my review on Battleground, and I think also Peace Talks. All of those say entirely spoilers inside the title, and that is because the entire video is spoilers. Something on the same note about White Noise and some other novels like that, I read them for school. Sorry, that is my alarm telling me to go to class. Some of these books I read for school, and the books I read for school, I will maybe get a little bit more in depth into like themes and stuff because it's something I'm required to do for class. Again, note that I'm not a literary analyst. I'm just really reiterating things that I thought of during those class periods, or maybe things other people said that I thought were interesting about the book and stuff like that. And so during those, since I'm talking so much about themes and stuff, they tend to be spoilers, and they tend to be a lot less typical than my other reviews. And so some people like those reviews and then don't like the others, and some people don't like those reviews and like the others. They're pretty different, because one is me talking about the world, and one is me actually very mildly, in my very short-sighted opinion, analyzing the novel from like a prose and writer standpoint. But I guess it depends. So that is what I have to say about that. For the most part, I don't have any more English classes, so there's a disclaimer there. I won't be doing that many more novel reviews. I will definitely be reading some. I definitely want to read Kite Runner at some point. But for the most part, I'm mostly going to be talking about the worlds I'm reading, especially with fantasy. So take note. I'm also, by the way, going to put those novels in their own playlist so that people know, hey, that's what these are. Alright. And with all of that, I'm just going to end off with my apologies very quickly. I ramble a lot. You may have noticed in this video itself, I have already rambled quite a few times. I get very off topic, and I try hard to keep myself on topic. I've started taking notes. I've started trying to keep videos to at least around 30 minutes. Sometimes I'll get into the 20s, and then I'll be proud of myself for getting about 20 minutes. And sometimes I just love a book, okay? And it gets to an hour or an hour 30 minutes long. If it's an hour or an hour 30 minutes long, it means I loved it, usually, for the most part. And when I love things, I get off topic and I ramble, and I get very excited, and I repeat the same thing multiple times. So this is just a general apology for how many times I do that. I do it a lot. So take note of that. As I said earlier, sometimes I finish a book at 3 in the morning because, again, I get hooked very easily in certain series. And so I read at 3 in the morning. I do have a few recordings recorded at 3 in the morning. And I am tired, and my brain is starting to die, and you can tell that my voice is dying. So there's a general warning that sometimes that happens. It won't happen as much anymore because I have a roommate, and I can't keep her up at 3 in the morning. So sometimes I will do one right in the morning, especially if it's Tuesday or Thursday or a weekend. I will do right when I roll out of bed, do a book review. Which is also not good because my voice will again be dead and those kinds of things. So, general apology for that. And again, since I have a roommate, sometimes you'll see her walk in this door. Just ignore her. She doesn't really have an opinion on being on camera, but just don't, point it out too much. Sometimes she'll interrupt. Sometimes you'll hear our radiator clacking. It is very loud. Sometimes you'll hear trucks outside. You've probably heard some trucks in this video. So this is just a general apology for my not being that formal here. And again, this isn't a serious channel, so I don't feel a need to do any of this formally. And sometimes some of these videos will be done sketchy in like a closet. But just a general apology for the viewability of these things. I do want them to be viewable, but at the same time, I don't want to spend that much time dedication to this, since it's kind of just a hobby. So that's why I wanted to end with To do a regular old wrap-up, as if this was a normal video, I am currently reading Shadows of Self by Brandon Sanderson. This is the second book of Mistborn Era 2, the Wax and Wayne series. I'm currently on page 126 out of 376. That's my second alarm. That is time for me to go. 1 second. There we go. I set this book aside for a little bit, but I picked it back up last night after the Brandon Sanderson announcement, and I read 2 chapters last night. They've been super long chapters, and that's part of why I set it down for a while. There was this chapter that was like almost 30 pages long, and that is why I set it aside. But I've been told this book is amazing, and I've been loving this series so far, so I plan to continue reading it. So the book after this will be Bands of Mourning, the 3rd book of this series. The 4th book comes out this year. When I started this series, I thought it was a trilogy, but the 4th book for this series comes out this year, and so I will definitely be reading that later this year. And then new books I bought. The Brandon Sanderson announcement came out yesterday, and I thought it was going to be a super serious announcement. And I clicked into it, and I ended up spending $200 is what happened, okay? So, have mercy on me. But I did just spend $200 on an author I've only read 5 books for. Those books will be coming in 2023. Watch that video if you have not seen it. It's the Brandon Sanderson announcement. You can just type Brandon Sanderson in the search bar, and I'm sure it's like the #1 video right now, or close. It's up there right now. And yeah, I spent $200. Here's a fun fact about me to end with. I don't do ebooks. I mean, I have ebooks. I have a Kindle. I'll do a book catalog update in a bit since I do have some new books. And also, most of my books are at home and not here, so I'll do an update about that also. I do have ebooks, but I prefer holding them a lot. I very much prefer holding books. So I spent $200. And all of those books will be coming in 2023. So I don't know the names of the books. I don't know anything about the books. I'm sure some of the books might actually be spoilers to the series I haven't read yet. Oops. But I bought them anyway. So that is all my general updates. I'm probably about to be late to class, but it's fine. So this is my little book review channel. I hope you enjoy. Maybe you won't. Again, it's fine. Not serious. General opinions of mine. Goodbye.